Today's the 5th of March. I'm very happy to come your way. It's a day to Independence Day, and if you're a Ghanaian, you know what that means to you. But on the program this morning, we'll deal with an issue that has got to do with the Adomi Bridge. We understand that it will be closed down over the next 2 years for major rehabilitation works to go on there. We'll get further into that matter. Also this morning, staff of the University of Ghana, we understand, have not been given their February salary. We'll try and get into the matter as we speak to university authorities as well as the worker unions within the University of Ghana. The PPP is also holding the State of the Nation address. My colleague Matilda Omega will join us with an update as we cross over live. And if you missed your flight yesterday because GATCA was on strike, we would want to know really if you have been flown to your destination today, because yesterday they called off the strike. They had just started, and let us know. You can share that thoughts with us on our social media platform. Joynews on TV, on Facebook, and on Twitter. I'll be more than glad to read them. These and many more will be discussing this morning on News Desk. My name is Kemini Yamani Amano. Let's get into our first issue of the day. And well, the Adomi Bridge will from Monday 10th March 2014 be closed to all vehicular traffic. This, according to the Ghana Highway Authority, is to allow for major rehabilitation works. The closure will last for 24 months, and motorists are to use ferry services provided at St. Chi and Accra to cross the Volta River from 600 hours to 1800 hours daily. And that's like from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. The statement from the Highway Authority adds that the maximum length of vehicles to be allowed on the ferry would be 18 meters. It said truck drivers wishing to use the ferry are to obtain a weighing certificate from the Ghana Highway Authority Axle Load Station at Apaso, Accra, or Japong before being allowed onto the ferry. Right, so that's a lot to digest, but let's break it down. We're joined over the telephone by PRO of the Ghana Highway Authority, Norbert Kwamo. Norbert, good morning.
Good morning, madam, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us. Elaborate on this closure of Adomi Bridge.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Well, sir, if we are to go down memory lane, we will realize that the Adomi Bridge has been in the news for some time, for good and for bad. About 5-6 years ago, we detected some major cracks under the bridge, and they had to be repaired, and we had to put control measures, that is to control the weight of vehicles that are to use the bridge into place as a way of safeguarding the bridge until we raise the funding to do the rehabilitation. And so, God being good, we have gotten the funding, and God willing, this Monday we're going to shut down the bridge and then start using the ferry sites to provide crossing facility to motorists and pedestrians. So this basically is the background to the closing down of the Adomi Bridge.
Let's try and understand the kind of work that will be done that will demand 24 months. That's 2 years of closure of the bridge.
Yes, please.
But,
well, yes, 24 months. That is what the engineers have estimated to be the appropriate time to enable the engineers undertake the necessary rehabilitation work on the bridge.
Right. So,
yes.
What as a user, what I want to understand is what sort of work is it?
Well, I will say that the bridge is totally going to be rebuilt. Totally going to be rebuilt. The design is virtually the same. Okay. The metal parts, the concrete decking, the cables holding it, all those are going to be replaced. So it involves a lot of work.
I see. So are we going to see the whole bridge come down?
Hello?
Are we going to see the whole bridge come down? Is that what you mean when you say rebuilt?
Yes, we are going to replace virtually everything. Virtually everything. So it will take time to dismantle, take time to put them together, and then test the members, and then probably before opening it for use.
Mm.
Yeah.
The bridge is a very important. It's very important when it comes to going across the Adomi, the river.
That part of the river. Yes.
That part of the river, very well.
Yes.
And so, what are the alternatives for those who would want to go across the river?
Yes, as we have said in our notice to the public, one is to use the ferry services that we are providing at Akrade and Senchi. And you know Senchi, that very same spot, Senchi and Akrade, used to be the ferry sites of the, during the colonial days, when the bridge was being constructed, or even when the bridge was not in place. It was a very important crossing point on the Water Lake at that particular section of the river. So we deemed it fit to put the crossing point back to the same place again, and the geomorphology or the geographical structure of the place favors the construction and even improvements on the landing and the decking of the ferry. So that is why we brought everything to that place. So that is for crossing. And then for vehicles which, for purposes of overloading, they will have to use the Accra-Sogakope Adomi route if they want to go across Juho and beyond. Because with this limitation on the length of heavy-duty trucks, there are certain trucks that are longer than the 18 meters. So they won't be allowed on it. Okay? And the payload of the ferries is about 300 tons. So if a vehicle, the ferry is taking about 6 to 8 vehicles per route, or trucks per route, and one is so heavily, or they are all heavily laden, we don't want any disaster. So we have control measures in the sense that all trucks will have to be certified by our as-load weighing stations, giving certification that they are within the appropriate loading limit, and they can be allowed to use the ferry. And that secondly, they are also within the length limitation that they will be allowed to use.
I see.
So this is what we want to put in place as a way of safeguarding not only the property of the vehicles, that is life and property on the ferries, but the ferry as well.
I see. We'll come to weighing the vehicles, but how many ferries do we have?
Ferries do we have?
Yes.
Well, for now, at that point, we have 2 ferries. One going from Senchi direction towards Akrade, the other from Akrade to Senchi, as a way of facilitating and speeding up the crossing. Okay, if it were only one ferry, it has to wait, load, cross. That would take about 15 to 20 minutes to cross. Then come, wait, load, and another 15 minutes. But now that they are 2, they will bypassing themselves on the bridge. So let's say within 15 minutes, 2 batches of cargo and people can cross the river.
In other words, we'll put cargo and people on the same ferry.
Oh yes, the cargoes will be on the trucks.
And
the cargoes will be on the truck.
I'm confused. And so if there's a heavy duty vehicle, it would be on the same ferry with the human beings.
Yes. And
How
you know
safe is that?
No. You know that if it is a passenger bus, if it's a passenger bus, yes, it will be allowed onto it. Okay. If it is a truck loaded and whatever, the truck and the driver will be allowed onto the deck and ferried across.
I see.
Well, some people may decide to disembark and maybe do see things here and there, but technically, once they are not above the permissible weight that we can ferry across, it isn't any issue when they are even in the buses to be ferried across.
I see. At what point are the heavy-duty trucks supposed to weigh their vehicles? Where do they go to do this weighing?
Yes, those weighing stations are a little distant, not too much, from the ferry side. In fact, even Accra station is virtually near the junction where you branch before going to Senchi. The Accra weighing station is virtually near that spot. And then some distance before the Accra station, we have the Apaso weighing station. Okay? And then when you cross, for those coming from Ho, for trucks coming from Ho, they will be weighed at Dwapong. That is before they get to the Accra crossing point.
Why can't we set up at the crossing point?
No, you know, if we do that, it is going to create too much traffic build-up there. It's going to create a lot of inconveniences to motorists. Yes, because
we don't want to have a situation where we don't want to have
for vehicles to be weighed. Okay, and if they pile up like that, it wouldn't be comfortable for us.
But so we also don't want to have a situation. We also don't want to have a situation where people will offload things across along the line, and then when they are weighed, they'll pick the things back onto the vehicle.
No, I don't think we are going to do that. We are going to do that. Yes. You see,
you are assuming an ideal situation.
It's not like, it is not like a badge whereby you come, you disembark all the items onto the badge for the badge to ferry across for you. No. You see, these are light passenger buses with small bags here and there loaded onto them, or even people just crossing with their small bags.
I see.
That sort of thing. But for those other heavy-duty trucks, let's say trucks with cement, a few bags of cement, or some foodstuffs, whatever, such a light, let me call it medium weight item, they can easily be accommodated and carried across. There wouldn't be any need to disembark, offload the item, the load, put them on the barge or on the ferry, cut them across the river, and then go and offload over there. No. And we are also dealing with time. We are not going to unduly delay the provision of the service across the river.
No, but I'm not sure you understood the situation or the scenario I created for you. But perhaps we'll just move away from that, and I want to find out how much this is costing us. Well,
in terms of the ferry services and civil works, you know, as I've said, we have 2 ferry crafts that will start operation, and then we have also undertaken civil works, that is preparing the landing site, preparing the road from the junction to the ferry site, that is from Senchi Junction to Senchi itself, and then from Akrade Junction to Akrade, Akrade. Okay, there are a little of other facilities, toll booths, operators, canopies, and then washing rooms for pedestrians and motorists. All these are there, and they form part of the civil work. So all in all, we are talking about 13,962,996,000 euros.
Oh, euros. We live in Ghana. How much is it in Ghana cedis?
Well, I cannot factor
because
that
you're not even supposed to price in foreign currency in the first place.
That is not the law.
I hope the Bank of Ghana didn't hear you.
That is not the law. The law doesn't forbid us in talking in dollars and foreign exchange.
But
it forbids us from
it means that
in dollars and
which is what you just did. You just quoted how much you're spending on this exercise in euros. In any case, that is for the ferry and then the civil works you have done. How about the 24 months of work on the Adomi Bridge?
Well, I will have to revise my notes to be able to tell you more on that.
You can't even tell us that in euros?
I said I will have to revise my notes to be able to tell you that.
I see.
Not now.
Right. So who is working on this project? I think that's one thing we don't know.
What project? The Adomi Bridge?
Yes.
Oh, I think when we come to talk about your first question, I will be in a better position to tell you. But for now, let's see what the ferry service will be on Monday. Yes.
I see.
Yes.
No, but we'll leave our conversation here. Thank you very much for joining us on News Desk. Norbert Kwamo is Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Highway Authority. And, well, while he's unable to tell us offhand how much rehabilitation works will cost us on the Adomi Bridge, he tells us that the ferry services, the civil works on the alternate routes they are providing across that section of the Volta River, it's already costing us over 13 million Ghana cedis. I'll read some of your thoughts on the rehabilitation works on the Adomi Bridge when I return and deal with some of the issues we have on the table this morning, including the fact that staff of University of Ghana have not been paid for the month of February. Don't go away. Thank you very much for staying on News Desk. Now, the Ankaful Psychiatric Hospital in the Cape Coast metropolis of the Central Region has been compelled to place a ban on new admissions as a result of erratic flow of funds and drugs from the government. At least that's what reports say. And the hospital also discharged many of its patients, particularly those whose condition was said to be better than they were brought in. They had to report either daily or weekly, even 82 patients, 22 of which are women. According to the medical director of the hospital, Dr. Ama Eilu, the remaining patients are those with serious conditions and need constant medical attention and those whose families could not be traced. Dr. Kwao Ama is joined us over the telephone. He's medical director at the Ankaful Psychiatric Hospital. Hello, doctor.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us on News Desk. But I don't understand this. Can you explain?
You don't understand what? Please come again.
You turning away. You bringing out patients or you're discharging patients because you're not getting drugs from the government, or you're faced with erratic flow of funds.
Well, I don't know what your source of this information is, but nobody has given out any such information. We are not turning away patients, and we are not discharging patients unnecessarily. What we are doing now is to re-strategize and look at new ways of admitting patients. It doesn't mean
Doc, I'm unable to hear you. If you could speak up a little for me.
I'm saying that I don't know where your information is coming from as to we placing a ban on admissions and discharging people because there are no drugs. That is not true. What we are doing now is to limit or scrutinize. Yes.
Dr. Ama, I'm unable to hear you. So here's what we'll do. We'll get you back over the telephone so we can have this conversation. Right, and so we've been talking to Dr. Kawama, but the line is terrible. And so we'll fetch him again over the telephone, and then we'll deal with the matter. Dr. Ama says that the little I heard, of course, is that it's untrue that they are discharging patients because they are not having funds, they are not getting funds and drugs from government. But some of you have been commenting on a social media platform, Facebook particularly, on the Adomi Bridge repair works, which will take 24 months. Lava Leroy Lecoy says, I stood on that bridge, and even if a taxi passes, it shakes and it deserves the repairs. But how long will it be sustained? And David Sakiti Asari says, the Adomi Bridge needs serious rehabilitation. Government must take a bold step to close it, which is what they are doing, David. And Albert Janku says Ghana is now facing all kinds of crises, even on the roads. This one is Bridge. Abre. Hassan Sumani says, we pray and hope after rehabilitation, everything would come back to its normal form. Absolutely. Let's go back to the Ankaful Psychiatric Hospital, where reports indicate that they placed a ban on new admissions and have also discharged many of its patients, particularly those whose conditions are better than they were brought in. Dr. Ko Ama Alu is over the telephone now. Dr. Ama?
Yes.
So you were telling me that it's untrue. Elaborate on that.
What I'm saying is that you are talking about a ban on admissions. It is not wholly true. We have, what we are doing is to control as much as possible the number of people that we admit. That is different from ban on admissions. And we've been doing this for over a year now. It's not something new that we have done today or yesterday. We've been trying to control the number of people we admit for about a year now. So that is the first thing. Now you also talked about discharges. To make it look like we are discharging people because we don't have medication. It's also not true. We still have people on admission, and because of the decrease in admissions, definitely the number on admission will not be as before. So those are the facts. We haven't banned admissions. We have controlled admissions.
Very well.
And we still have people on admission.
Very well. Why do you have to control admissions?
Yes, the reason is that we have had challenges as most government institutions in monies that come for us to run the hospitals. It's not peculiar to Ankaful alone. I'm sure a lot of government institutions have had problems recently about cash inflows to look after patients. So in view of that, we had to re-look at our admission procedures and try to, as much as possible, to try to limit or at least try to limit admissions in a way so that we can get the right numbers to be able to feed with the funds that come in. So that is why we are doing that.
I see. So what is the control mechanism?
That's what I'm saying. What we do initially, we used to, everybody who we thought needed admission was admitted straight to the ward. Now we are using a mechanism of observation where we observe people who we think need admission for up to a day or two as an observation, and then after about 2 or 3 days, if we monitor them every day on a 24-hour basis. If after 2-3 days there is an indication that they need admission, then we send them to the wards. When after 2-3 days, sometimes even up to a maximum of about 4 days, we think that they are well enough to be treated as outpatients, then we let them go. So that is the system we are using now. And this is different from the past where everybody was just admitted straight to the ward. So that is what we are doing now.
Are they under your care in the hospital during the observation period?
Yes, they are under our care. We don't observe them in their houses. We observe them in the hospital.
I see. What is the capacity of the Ankaful Psychiatric Hospital?
Well, earlier on, those days that we did admissions, the way we were doing that, the capacity is about 300, up to a maximum of 350 patients.
And now you're getting?
Currently, we have about a little under 100.
That is after you put in your control mechanism?
Yes, yes.
Before the control mechanism, how much were you compelled to take in?
That's what I'm saying, that we have a capacity of up to about 300, 350 thereabout. So on the average, earlier we used to have about 300, 280 on admission, average. Of course, it changes from day to day. People are discharged, more are admitted. But we had a capacity to admit up to about 300, maybe 350 patients on the average. So
you do have the capacity to admit up to that. But
yes, we do have
currently,
the capacity.
currently
Yes, we do
you
have
have
the
only
capacity.
100 patients,
Yes,
less than 100 patients.
Yes, slightly less than 100 patients.
Why, you don't have the human resource, and that's why you probably needed the control mechanism?
No, I'm talking about financial constraints. That's what I mentioned. The financial constraints that everybody in Ghana is going to, especially government institutions. Because we are an institution that generates almost next to nothing. So we have to depend on government for everything, feeding, cost of cleansing materials, everything. So that is why we have to cut down. It's like cutting down our cost to suit, cutting our way to suit the size of cost we have.
I see. But what have you been told about why you're not getting your funds?
Sorry, come again.
I'm asking what you've been told about why you're not getting your funds. Have you made demands on government to give you the funds?
Yes, the government is aware. I'm sure, well, we submit budgets, yearly budgets, and the government is very much aware. But I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm sure it's in connection with the general problem of cash inflows.
I see. So how long has this been going on?
It's been going on for some time. Like I told you, we've had these control measures for the past 1 year or so.
I'm talking about the fact that you're not getting your funds and drug flow.
No, I hope you are not saying that we are not getting at all. We are talking about...
you're not getting enough.
Yes, that is the right word. Please let us be listen. That is the right word. We're not getting enough. And it's been going on for quite some time. That was when we started the control measures. So going on for about a year now.
I see. Thank you very much, Doc. Dr.
All right, you're welcome.
Dr. Emmanuel is medical director at the Ankaful Psychiatric Hospital. He says that they haven't placed a ban on the admissions of new cases at the hospital, except they have a control mechanism so they can decrease the number of inpatient cases they have, because they are not getting enough funds for that. But some of you have been commenting on this matter, and I'd like to share those comments with the rest of us here on News Desk. I'll quickly do that. Abusa Jackson, I'll start from Abusa Jackson, and let me share that with you quickly, then I'll go on with it. Abusa Jackson says, yes, it's true, I go to Ankaful myself, and it's very bad. The Ankaful prison too is having the same problem. They don't have money for food, hospital, transport. Oh God, help this nation out of this. Gideon Owusu Enchi says the Pantan Hospital is now a cash and carry facility. You pay for the number of days you spend at the assessment unit, and you're made to pay for VIP before you're formally admitted to the hospital. Meanwhile, Loretta is sharing with us that it's good, no drugs, no food. Does the government expect us to feed them with our own money and to manufacture our own drugs for them? I don't know, Loretta. Morris Poogie says, what a government. So all these precious brethren of ours should be wiped out because of government's negligence. God have mercy and aid government's shifts from all these inhuman actions to making life easy for those in need of assistance. I believe the doctor has made it clear that it's not that they are not getting, but they are only not having enough. Walter Selassie says you need to revise the ambiguity in the statement. An absolute... are you sure, Walter? I don't think so. Frimpoyal says the Ministry of Health should rise for all institutions working under them. It is their sole concern to furnish them with financial resources and other goods. Mountain heaps on the government to release such funds. I really don't get the last bit. Robert Agboka says, this is a perennial problem that must be tackled head-on. The free-for-all services must be abolished. Relatives and clients should pay subsidized fees for feeding, medication, and all other services to make the system run efficiently. Ghana for free, Dodo. I didn't say that, Robert did. I'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to News Desk. Quick information here. The President of the Republic of Guinea, Professor Alpha Condé, will arrive in Accra today, Wednesday, for a 3-day state visit to Ghana. President Condé will be the special guest at tomorrow's 57th Independence Anniversary Parade, and the Guinean leader has been invited by President John Mahama to Ghana's Independence Anniversary in fulfillment of a desire to deepen existing relations with Ghana's long-standing friendly neighbors. Ghana's historical relations with Guinea go back to the 1950s when the two countries established diplomatic relations. Guinea became home to Ghana's first president, Asajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, after he was overthrown in the 1966 military coup. In Guinea, Dr. Nkrumah was elevated to the status of co-president of Guinea by the late Guinean President Ahmed Sékou Touré. The widow of Guinea's first president, Hajia André Touré, will be accompanying President Condé to Ghana. President Mahama and his Guinean counterpart will co-host a seminar on the Responsible Mineral Development Initiative on Friday at the Accra International Conference Center as a follow-up to the recent meetings on responsible mining at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. President Mahama will also take his guest on a tour of the Akosombo hydroelectric dam and a pineapple plantation. The occasion is also expected to be used in connecting Ghanaian business owners in the agriculture, tourism, energy and mining sectors with Ghanaian government officials as well as business executives. Tomorrow is a very important day if you're a Ghanaian, because it's a day when we remember our independence from colonial rule. But how else can we celebrate this day? Independence Day celebrations have become synonymous with parades across the country, and many of today's adults grew up taking part in these parades. Recent incidents at parade grounds, such as loss of consciousness by some marchers, has however got some senior citizens questioning whether marching under the scorchy sun for hours is the only way to celebrate the country's celebration from its colonial masters. But Adelaide Arthur has been speaking to them about how else we as a country can celebrate this day and make it worthwhile.
Independence Day parades dates back to the days of Ghana's founding president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who declared the country free from colonial rule. But it was perhaps former President Jerry John Rawlings who is best remembered for his ability to take the salute from the contingent throughout the national parade held at the Independence Square. The late President's Mills is said to have considerably reduced the number of school contingents who took part in the parade. Though the move has been hailed, former rector of GIMPA, Professor Stephen Adair, believes Ghana can adopt better and more practical ways to celebrate the day.
If on 6th March, everybody is on the street cleaning, that on this day we are going to clean up the whole Ghana. You know that 25 million people, it will take us only 1 hour to clean the whole of Ghana. And then thereafter, not to make it dirty again. The president has just given a State of the Nation address. What is he going to say on the 6th March? We must go beyond just the ceremonial on the 6th of March. The flag, Ghanaian flag was there and Nkrumah was pronounced. That was for that purpose. It was the momentous one. We needed that one, but we have passed that one.
For Professor K.B. Asante, the day should be one to acknowledge the country's young heroes and thereby instill a sense of nationalism amongst Ghanaians.
There should be specific criteria, and then what they've done should be stated. The person should feel honored, should be feel great. In the past, in colonial days, people used to pay their own passage to England to go and get the OB pin, the medal pin on their chest. And we should feel the same here when we are honored by the state. But sometimes you don't even know the citation. I know people have been honored without a citation.
The senior citizens are not against the Independence Day parade. However, they believe school children should be made to understand why they need to do it in order for them to develop a sense of patriotism.
Happy Independence Day to everybody. I'm very happy about independence because it's a good time to reflect on what's happened over the years and in history. But let's move on to something else now. The Progressive People's Party is holding a media briefing to present its version of the State of the Nation's address. I'll tell you more about this when I return. So the Progressive People's Party is holding a media briefing to present its own version of the State of the Nation's address. You recall on February 25, President Mahama in Parliament shared with us the State of the Nation 2014, and it's generated a heated debate among political parties. Matilda Vomega was there for Joynews during this press conference. She's joined us over the telephone. Hello, Tilly.
Kemini, good morning.
What has the PPP been saying?
Well, basically what DPP has been saying is that they have expressed shock and disappointment at the president for not clearly bringing out measures to tackle the current economic crisis that we are facing. According to the convener, Nana Ufori, the president in the State of the Nation address did not really bring out specific measures to deal with the current economic situation. But then I have William Dowapro with me,
right,
who's a member of the PPP, and then I would hand it over to him, and then he would tell you.
William, thank you for your time on News Desk, William. But it's almost cliche that parties not in office would find the State of the Nation's address as not being as not being reflective of reality. This time, what is your reason?
Well, thank you very much. Our issue is that the president in his preamble said a lot of transformational things. He used change, he used opportunity, but the entire paper that he presented as the State of the Nation, he failed to deal with the most important issues. For instance, we believe that, yes, we are at a critical stage of our transformation as a developing country. The president kept on talking about, middle income and so on and so forth. But we believe that there are certain fundamentals that we must get right, first of all. Bad governance has been the biggest challenge for our country. That is why we are still struggling after 57 years of independence. And we have said this morning that if the president really cares about transforming this country, then he should rather focus on reform. And what reforms are we talking about? The president talked also about good, accountable governance. And he never mentioned the way he was going to deal with corruption in this country. This morning, we have put three things across again. We're asking the president to have an independent public prosecutor to deal with corruption in this country. We've also called on the president to work towards separating the executive from the legislature. And we are asking for the president to remove his hand from local government so that our people will determine who governs them at the local level.
But, William, how is that the State of the Nation?
Well, if you check the president's preamble, we felt swindled, really, because the way he started, okay, he talked about the need for transformation. But at the end of the day, he came to talk about his, short-term things that he was going to do in 2014. And we're so disappointed. So if you are talking about transforming a country, and we have run this country, if we want to start from 1992, we have run this 1992 Constitution for 20 good years. And we've said it over and over again. And the president himself agrees sometimes that, look, there is time for reform. Now, the president comes to present the State of the Nation address, and he never talks about the key reforms that take place. That's where our, disappointment lies.
I see, but he's done with the State of the Nation's address. Why won't you come up with some of these things that you expect to see in the State of the Nation's address at the time when we are about holding the event than wait for the president to come and tell us his version of the State of the Nation address. Then we have these counter versions as well. How does it help us grow?
Well, we have said it over and over again. Perhaps there is no motivation for the president to undertake these reforms, and we have to continue to have it. We have to continue to say that if the president is really serious about transforming this country,
right?
All the things he said, in fact, what he said are not the things that he should be saying, but rather he should be focusing on reforms, especially on good governance, how he's going to tackle corruption, one of the biggest challenges of this country.
Right. Thank you very much, William. William Duokbo is a member of the Progressive People's Party. Now, this party has been holding its own version of the State of the Nation address. You heard what he expected to see, to hear from the president at the time he was delivering his on February 25. Matilda.
Hello, Kemini.
So what's been the responses after the press conference?
Well, we are still in session. Press conference is not over. We are still in it. So I'll get you more information as and when the things go.
But how are people responding to some of the things they are saying while at the event?
I think more of the responses will come on during the questions and answers time. So I'm sure when we get to that period, that is when we'll get to hear the concerns, most especially from the media practitioners around here.
I see. Thank you very much, Matilda. Matilda Pomega is the Joynews reporter. She's there for us. We'll bring you an update in subsequent broadcasts. You might want to watch out for that. But that will not be all for what we're doing on the program today. You recall I was telling you how staff of the University of Ghana, the nation's premier university, will not be paid soon because of delays and the release of government subvention to the institution. The last 3 months, a report says that there has been delayed payment of the salaries of staff of the university, largely due to central government's failure to release the subvention. Now, I'm not talking about just lecturers. I'm talking about staff of the University of Ghana. Now, this is really big and worrying if indeed that is the truth. And we'll find out more on this when I return. Don't go away. Right, and so thank you very much for staying on. Unfortunately, it's time for me to go already. I'll just take you through some of the things we're discussing this morning. And we've looked at the Adomi Bridge and the fact that it will be closed over the next 24 months, starting March 10, for major rehabilitation works to go on there. We've tackled also the Ankaful Psychiatric Hospital, where the medical director there has debunked reports that they have banned new admissions as a result of erratic flow of funds and drugs from government. In fact, he says that they have only controlled the number of admissions they have because they are not getting enough funds and drugs from government. We've also looked at the issue with the PPP delivering their own version of the State of the Nation address, and I'm totally grateful you were able to stay through the hour with me. And well, it's been fantastic coming your way. Your messages coming through to me on social media. I believe I've been able to read some of them. But here's what we're going to do. Well, the topics that we were able to tackle on the program. Join me at midday on News Today. We'll deal with it and also find out if you indeed have to pay more for fare since the NPA went up on the price of fuel. But I understand I'll be doing that now. I'm joined over the telephone by an executive of the GPRTU, Stephen Okujetu. I understand he's the General Secretary. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Right, so my understanding is that yesterday you were locked up in a meeting concerning the fares juxtaposing it to the increase in fuel prices. What was the outcome of that meeting?
Oh, well, we've decided to take a look at the recent fuel increase that was announced by MPA Saturday evening. And we've realized that this is going to be a continuous thing. And we have to monitor to see the extent of which the increase will get to before we can take a final decision. As you are aware, we had the last increase not quite long ago. That was the end of January when we had our last increase, 20%. And then after that, there was an increase in February. Petrol went up 2%, diesel went up 2%. And then this last increase that came last Saturday, that one, petrol went up 6.25%, and diesel went up 6%. And
so are we seeing an increase in transport fares?
We will monitor and then see if it goes beyond 10%, then we must come out with another increase again. So this is what we are doing. So as at now, we've not increased transport fares.
I also gather that indeed, as part of the agreement for the last increase, you're supposed to wait until June to be able to go up on transport fares again, if the need be.
Yes, that is correct.
Right. So, we shouldn't expect an increase anytime soon.
No, it shouldn't be so. But then we were all taken by surprise with the recent events. For instance, this last increase, last Saturday, which went up 6.25%, was a bit, it went up at 6.25%, which was on the higher side. We didn't expect such a jump. And then it's possible that another increase will be coming again before June. So if we should go beyond that,
right,
beyond 10% before June, then we may be compelled to
You will defy that June agreement you had.
Exactly.
I see. So why are some of your members already charging new fares? I mean, you're picking taxis now and they're telling you, well, there's been an increase in price, and so I'm going up on my fare as well.
No, it is wrong. It is wrong for anybody or any of our members to do that.
I'm glad we have that understanding. So what are you doing about it?
Well, we only have to appeal to them not to increase.
Appeal to them?
To our members not to increase transport fares. Once that decision has not been taken from the headquarters of the union, they cannot do that. And
if they defy that appeal?
Well, then sanctions will apply.
What sort of sanctions?
Your loading rights can be withdrawn. You can be suspended as well also.
I see.
And they are aware of the rules.
I see. Stephen, thank you very much for joining us. We have to go already. Stephen Okudzeto is General Secretary for the GPRTU. And so I have dealt with that matter as well on News Desk. Thank you very much for staying through. I have to go now. See you again at midday on News Today. And there's CNBC's Power Lunch after this. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amana. Goodbye.